got a question for you, board members. Should a citation end up like this? Well, that's exactly what happened to a woman arrested in Atlanta recently. Her and a male companion were at a park at 11:50 p.m. when the park closes at 11 p.m. and an officer approached them to advise them that they indeed should not be in the park between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. Now get this, the officer noted that he recognized that their license plate said Ohio. So maybe you didn't know that you shouldn't be in the park. He then asked for their identification. The male complied and provided his identification, and the young woman did not do so immediately. So he then proceeded to ask her again for her identification, and she provided it. He went to his car, the officer went to his car, and then came out of his car with tickets for them to sign. When he called them over to sign the tickets, the male complied once again and questioned the officer. He said, "Is this a charge?" And the officer said, "No, it is not a charge, it's a citation." And the male then asked again, "Do I have to sign it?" He says, "If you don't sign it, you will go to jail." So I think one of the things here is that if the woman, the female, had heard this interaction up close, she would have known that the officer was in a serious mood, right? He was not playing. But because she was still standing in her car, she did not hear this interaction where the male clearly asked him, "Do I have to sign it?" And the officer sharing the result of not putting your John Hancock on the dotted line. So, and of course you heard, so once the young lady came over and questioned the officer of his name and his ID number, and she asked him 3 times. He did provide it twice, but the third time he refused. When she indicated that she was not going to sign the ticket, she wanted to know. He proceeded behind her boyfriend, her male companion, and tried to arrest her, and arrested her, I should say. It was a couple of minutes where he only had one arm, and then he, according to the video footage, she pushed her to the ground and still tried to subdue her and get her other arm behind her back. Here in this time, clearly the woman was traumatized. Clearly she was in shock that this was actually happening. You go from standing up at a park to face down on the ground with your hands, one hand behind the back. And I didn't even know this until I read some articles that he pulled out a laser as well. So the question becomes, should a violation of an ordinance end up like this? What are your thoughts? Now, when we check social media, because apparently the woman has moved to sue the police department, but when we check social media, the views are so varying on both sides. I mean, when you say, one person said, "I'm not arguing over a ticket at night with the Atlanta Police Department. Comply, sign it, and have a good night." And another person said, "Sorry, this is not one of those situations. This could have went completely different if it wasn't such egos and combative behavior in the mix. She should have just signed the ticket. Her man should have convinced her to do the same. The officer did his job, case closed." It was surprising that the boyfriend did not encourage her to listen to the officer and just do what he says, and they can file a complaint letter later. I guess his MO, his method of operating is, when the officers are here, I'm not going to say anything. I am not going to be engaged, and that was his approach. So I do agree, he should have encouraged her to follow his lead, and they can just simply go home with a ticket. And then of course you can file your complaint when you're home safe in your home. Do we all agree? And then we see, like someone else says, be better cops, do a better job. Crime stats in Atlanta are through the roof. But thank God we got cops like Officer, and I'm not going to say his name, keeping the streets safe from women hanging out at a park. Woo! And y'all wonder why people feel how they feel about you. This explains it. Y'all had the chance to make something right, and instead you justified excessive force for a non-violent crime. Get it together. Well, actually, it wasn't even a crime. It was a violation of an ordinance. So isn't that a civic issue, kind of like a traffic violation? So when she failed to comply, it then became a criminal event. So therein lies the concern, right? Another person says, have you all made an arrest for the park shooting? Or what about the 3-year-old that was shot in the car? Fight real crime. Good Lord. So the responses are truly 50-50 on both sides in terms of what the public believes should have been the outcome. But I want to hear from the board members. Do you think she created this environment, or do you think the officer simply wasn't going to bend? I know there was one comment in the video where the officer says, once I pull out my cuffs, that's it, you're going to jail. So I guess he said he wasn't going to retreat because I guess the process had gone so far. But my only thing is, how could this all been avoided? I think he should have just given them a warning. What are your thoughts? Do you think a warning is enough? This is certainly an example of what can go wrong when someone is not willing to de-escalate. And I always think of it as the side of the public servant, right? You take an oath to serve the community. This could certainly have been, hey guys, get out of the park. You know, this is the violation. I see your tag is from out of town. Just want to give you the heads up. We don't want to see you back here again. Why didn't that happen should be the question. Why didn't that happen? Because her human experience is forever tainted. I'm sure she will be traumatized by this event. I was traumatized watching it, even shared it with my daughter. Because what is the goal? The goal with any police interaction is to get home safe. Certainly get their name and badge number. That's on the ticket. You can track them down from the ticket. But never can we win when we challenge them. Never. Even if it's simply, what is your name and badge number? Because to them, that may appear to be a challenge. And I would never reveal to them that my goal is to report them. So share with me your thoughts. Have you had a similar encounter? I'm sure we all have. I've had an alarming situation as well. But I just wanted to see, what are your thoughts? Tell me what you think, board members. Was it her fault or his? Thank you so much for stopping by. Bye-bye.